What is going on, WBE fans? My name is JB Westside, and I am here today by myself for the Week 10 recaps of the Sword Division. And just a little bit of housekeeping real quick. First and foremost, be sure to go follow the WBE Twitter down in the description so you guys can get involved in the pick'ems. Each week they'll tweet them out, and then you guys can get involved in that. And also, be sure to go check out the Onage shop, down in the description below, where you can go pick up a t-shirt with your favorite coach's logo or just a WBE logo if you like. And now into some other things. First and foremost, as you may have heard, it is currently thundering and storming where I live, so apologies for that. I can't control the weather, so my bad. I also probably could have recorded this earlier, but let's not talk about that. And also, Saki's not here. He just finished moving, and he currently does not have internet in his new house, or his new apartment, whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, he currently does not have internet, so he just wanted to let you guys know that he's sorry, but this will mean better quality from him in the weeks to come to close out the season. Now, getting into this week's games, there are a lot of really close games this week. Definitely be sure to go check out a lot of the games this week. They were very good, but we did unfortunately have two forfeits. Duncan ended up forfeiting his game versus Pokemon, aka John, and Deathly I Am forfeited to Wolfie. So that's a little bit unfortunate. We had our first forfeits of the season, but with Worlds and things getting crazy, it had to happen at some point, and here it is. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop into our first game of the week, and that is Dan, aka A-Drive, coach of the Minnesota Vikavolt, versus In Vivid Color and the South Texas Civilized. Dan brought a team of Mega Manectric, Skarmory, Talonflame, Kieran Black, Florges, and Gastrodon, and Vivid brought a team of Mega Aggron, Galvantula, Nidoking, Noivern, Mew, and Tapu Bulu. Now, going into prep, I thought Sub Mega Manectric was a really good bringing on Dan's part. It was very annoying for Vivid Team to deal with, as it does force a lot of switches, and he's able to get behind a free sub more often than not. He's able to do a lot of damage to stuff like Mega Aggron, Mew, and Bulu, like wanting to switch in. Also outspeeding his fastest mon in Noivern. So yeah, I thought sub was a really cool bring on Mega Manectric this week. Chople Kieran Black was also phenomenal, as Vivid Team has a ton of fighting coverage. Stuff like Nidoking, Hawlucha, which didn't end up coming, and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that was a really solid bring. And yeah, also on Vivid's side, Subtom Bulu is very annoying for Dan's defensive core. The stars of his team, kind of the Skarm, Florges, Gastrodon. That's just very annoying for that team, those monsters to deal with. But yeah, just really cool prep on both sides there. So getting into the actual game, the lead matchup could not have possibly gone better for Dan. It was Mega Manectric versus Mew. Manectric subs on Mew's Protect. He was able to get a Discharge para on the next turn, and the Physical Mew Drain Punch doesn't even break his sub, and he ends up killing the Mew with no hazard. So it could not have possibly gone better for Dan on the lead matchup. The double Toxic overplay after that was a little bit unfortunate on Mega Aggron. It did lose him a ton of momentum, which really allowed Vivid to come back from that rough lead matchup. I thought the recover on Gal going for webs on the turn when it dies was a Dead to Burn was smart, allowing him not to have to sack later versus Galvantula or whatever wanting to come in. But now back on Vivid's side, the switch into Noivern on the Kieran Black Earth Power with Nidoking in was just a fantastic read. It allowed him to get a free Steelium Z off to Oko Floor. Just like getting rid of that thing is always a good thing. And yeah. Another thing on Vivid's side, he did an amazing job of not letting Dan defog this game, keeping the webs up for as long as he could, and I believe they set up the whole game. I don't believe Dan was ever able to actually defog him, but because by the time he would have been able to, the game was already over. So yeah, I thought Vivid did a fantastic job of not allowing Dan to be able to defog for free. But yeah, another couple plays I thought were really solid. Dan going into Talonflame on the Bulu taunt was really cool. I love sub-taunt Bulu, like I mentioned. Like I thought it had a great matchup, and Dan was able to read that a couple times to get Talonflame in for free. Talonflame putting in a ton of work this game. And then, yeah, Dan played the in-game with Talonflame very well. He sacked the right mons at the right time, and then Chople Kieran Black was able to save the game because it looked like at one point Vivid was just going to be able to run it back with Nidoking, but the Chople coming in huge, allowing KB to be able to live a hit and finish off the Nidoking was, just a game-saving for Dan in that sense. So, really good game. Definitely be sure to go check it out. My personal game of the week. I thought, both coaches played really well. And for two of, like, the, upper-tier coaches in this division, like, you definitely expected a great game, and that is exactly what we got. Moving on to our next game, we have Patters, coach of the Newcastle Nidokings, against Mr. Talent, coach of the New York Marauders. Patters brought a team of Mega Gyarados, Terrakion, Venomoth, Hippowdon, Xatu, and Snorlax. Mr. Talon brought a team of Stunfisk, Gyarados, Buzzwole, Gourgeist, Ambipom, and Latias. Let it just be said that Stunfisk is the best Tapu Koko counter, 100% confirmed. Yeah, I thought the Gorgas set was awesome. I've said it every time Drew's brought it this season. I just love Gorgas. I think Frisk is one of the absolute best abilities in Draft League format. Just giving you so much information about your opponent is just great. I thought the Lottie set put a ton of pressure on it to do well. Like, it has, okay, let me start that over. The Lottie set has a ton of pressure on it to perform. It's going to be hard for him to defog, being having only Psychic. You just had Pattern just has so many things that can take advantage of that, such as Mega Gyarados or Xatu coming in and not taking a lot, bouncing. Obviously you could Magic Bounce back the defog and it still gets rid of hazards, but yeah, I just thought the Lottie set just had a ton of pressure. I believe his other moves were Refresh, and I think he had, I can't remember if it was Light Screen or Reflect, but I'm pretty sure he had one screen on it. I don't really remember which one, but yeah, there were a couple things that were a little bit rough in terms of gameplay in this game, but we'll get into that here in a second. I thought Z Aerial Ace Terrakion was a really cool bait set for Buzzwole. It didn't end up mattering because Buzzwole was, of course, Koba Berry. I thought that was a really good set. I thought Patters did a really good job of toxicking the fat things on his opponent's team early on. I believe he was able to get a toxic off on both Stunfisk and Buzzwole, if I remember correctly. And then, yeah, Hippo just put in a ton of work early with the Whirlwind Rock shenanigans, just really chipping down Drew's team and putting him in a bad position. But the big thing here, Mr. Talent brought Taunt on Gyarados specifically for Hippowdon and didn't taunt it when he had a chance, which allowed him to get Toxic. He had seen Rocks, Toxic, and Whirlwind, so if the last move was Earthquake on Hippo, it was just completely setup fodder. And if it was Edge, Reflect was up. So yeah, okay, so my notes told me. I should have just read the rest of my notes. I'm smart. But yeah, I thought that was just a really big, sort of misplay. Like, you had Taunt on Gyarados specifically for the Hippowdon to taunt that you set in your team builder, and then you had the ability to taunt it, and you'd seen its whole moveset, and you could have, set up and just done a ton of work with Gyarados, potentially even winning the game right then and there. So it's really unfortunate not to see Drew take advantage of that, that perfect scenario that he had set up for in team building, and it's just that's just rough, man. It's just one of those really rough situations. But yeah, he was able to force a sack to Z move, and then critting Mega Gyarados kind of makes up for that, but Gyara could have potentially just won at +2, and he just lost way too much momentum to toxic damage in that exchange. So yeah, that was really unfortunate. But I thought Patters played Xatu and Terrakion absolutely perfectly. It was, I believe, a 2-on-4 or 2-on-5 with just those 2 months, but he had absolutely no business bringing that back. Just thanks to a couple of tail slot misses and just great predictions, he was just able to bring it back. Just switching, getting the reads right at the right time, like getting Terrakion in when he knew a tail slot was incoming, or getting Xatu in when he knew a switch was happening, like doubling just the perfect times. But yeah, I thought Drew did a good job bringing this back with Ambipom, just getting some damage off of tail slap and putting Patters in a situation to have to sack. So yeah, Drew did have a lot of momentum in this game, but it never really felt like it was out of hand for Patters. But one low kick prediction late game with Ambipom on a Terrakion switch would have won Drew the game, but he wanted to get rid of Xatu, which is understandable, and unfortunately I feel like it ended up costing him just a little bit too much in the end, getting a little bit of tunnel vision there. Just one prediction, I feel like you could sack and then come back in on Terrakion and kill it later, or Xatu you could sack too and then come back in and tail slap for the win. You guys get what I mean. You're smarter than me. So next up, also let me apologize for that. My pop filter got lost in the mail. Shout out to Amazon. I ordered a new pop filter, which I think I mentioned, but yeah, it got lost. My order got lost, so I'll have to reorder one of those. Anyway, moving into our next game, we have Autocoach of the Nijmegen Nuzleafs and Magnitude, coach of the Milwaukee Saws Bucks. Otto brought a team of Slowbro, Tangela, Latios, Raikou, Cobalion, and Yanmega. Steve brought a team of Mega Swampert, Thundurus, Therian, Politoed, Quillfish, Azelf, and Armaldo. So Steve has not uploaded as of the time of this video. I'm pretty sure he's going through some crap right now and doesn't really have time to upload, which is totally understandable. But the main takeaway was Thundurus was not a Z move, and that's just like a sad face all around. Thundy's kind of been like a hero of ours, just getting a kill with a Z move this season. Unfortunately, he ran 50% berry, so we didn't get to see Z move Thundy put in work, but we did get to see a lot of cool tech on Otto's side. I thought, Trick Room Bro is something he's been, bringing quite a bit lately. I thought it was a really good bring to counter the Swift Swimmers, obviously with Mega Pert, Armaldo, and Quillfish all coming to the game. I thought, it was a really cool bring in Slowbro. Obviously, Slowbro being able to resist the water stab from those Mons and, get up Trick Room and then outspeed them. Screwing Slotty is a really good bring if he could keep them up, which he was able to for the most part when he clicked them. But something worth noting on Auto's side, pre-game, just like before I watched the game, his team seems just incredibly passive, and his offense is really reliant on Ray not being up. If Tangela goes down, Mega Pert absolutely runs through this team. If Tangela ever went down. So yeah, that was just, imperative on Auto to be able to play his Tangela well versus that Mon. And thankfully he was able to. He was able to, I believe, put it to sleep at one point and then, just weaken it that way. But, yeah, it's just never a good sign in team preview when you're saying that your offense is useless, which, yeah, it kind of was this game for Auto, and, yeah, it's just never a good sign. And then he also, it felt like he was somehow surprised to see full rain and noted how bad it was for his Young Mega set, which, I mean, I get, the value of Tinted Lens, but if there's ever a time to just bring Speed Boost on Mega, it's against a rain team that, has Swift Swim abusers. It's kind of, warranted to bring a faster Mon. I believe it's, Mega's based 90 or 116 speed or something like that. It would have outsped all of the rain abusers in at +2. So, yeah, I feel like if there's ever, like I said, I get the merit behind bringing Tinted Lens, but like I said, if there's ever a way to just slap on speed boost, I feel like this was it. But it didn't really end up coming into effect too much. The stunner's getting louder, boys. I'll be fine. But I thought Auto used Tangela very well. It did its job in neutralizing Pert and making the Z move on, so Slowbro could guaranteed live a hit from Armaldo. It took, I believe it was a Bugginium Z if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I thought he actually ended up using Tangela very well, which I don't want to say is the first time we've seen it this season, but this is definitely Tangela's best performance, even though it ended up picking up a kill. It did all it needed to defensively. Checking the right mons and actually taking Z moves that allows Slowbro to come in and do its thing. And I thought he did a good job of keeping the right mons alive and knowing when he needed to sack. He set Cobalion at the perfect time. He let Tangela go down at the perfect time, of course, like I mentioned with the Z move thing. And then, Lottie, I don't remember how Lottie died, but yeah, I thought he played his sacks really well and just, did a good job of keeping the right mons alive at the right time and knowing what to sack and when to sack it. And yeah, that's a really good game all around. Very well played by Auto. I believe it's his first win since taking over. If it's not, that's my bad. But definitely feel like this is the best game he's played since taking over for sure. Next up, we have the Bronze Bear Ticks, coached by Joey PokeAMMD, against the LA Spice, coached by K-Cray. Joey ended up bringing a team of Mega Glade, Crocodile, Toxapex, Volcarona, Piloswine, and Bronzong. K-Cray brought a team of Mega Houndoom, Mimikyu, Garchomp, Crobat, Magnezone, and Starmie. So once again, this was just a classic Joey performance of knowing his win con and setting everything up for Crook to just come in and click buttons. Like, it's pretty, it's not the most in-depth analysis, but there's not a whole lot much more to it to that. And that's like the beauty of Joey, the way Joey plays the game. It's just so simplistic in being able to set everything up perfectly, being able to make your opponent do exactly what you want them to do, and just being able to execute to absolute perfection. And that is, what Joey does so well. We say it every single week, and he keeps proving it week in and week out. He's 10-0. Like, there's not a whole heck of a lot else to say about how Joey plays the game. We've said it every week. He just makes his opponent do what he wants to do better than anyone. He executes his game plan better than anyone else in the league. And this is once again, showing it here. But I thought K-Cray played this game phenomenally as well. This is the closest game Joey's had in, I believe, like 5 or 6 weeks, since like week 2 or 3 or something like that. It's like something ridiculous like that. And it's still 2-0. It's like by far the closest game he's played in a while. So I thought Destiny Bond Mega Houndoom was really cool for like Gallade or an unboosted Volcarona. It ended up killing the Piloswine, which is really annoying for a team, which I thought was cool. But I thought the low bulk cover Starmie didn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. She was speed for whatever she needed speed for, which I believe was the Volcarona, if I'm not mistaken. Because I don't think she ran speed for Mega Gallade. If she did, she might have, I don't really remember, but either way, she was speed, special attack with not a lot of HP. I don't think running Cobra on that set made a whole lot of sense against a team with so much knockoff spam like Joey has, and just a Crocodile being a Crocodile, which he's so often brought Scarf. And then letting it die turn 3 was a bit questionable with his offensive matchup in Speed Tear. I feel like a more purely offensive set, like something like Life Orb or even Scarf or Specs or Expert Belt or something along those, like just like a purely offensive Starmie would have been a lot better than the set that ended up coming with a hat like Thunderwave and stuff. Like, just looking at the matchup on paper, Starmie destroys a lot of Joey's team. Mega Glade doesn't want to take a hit. Crocodile, Toxapex, obviously, Volcarona, obviously, Paliswine, like 4 of the 6 just do not want to take hits from Starmie's stabs. So right then and there, just like Water Spam was really, really good against Joey's team, and then you just have to get the Toxapex played right a couple times, and Starmie's putting in a ton of work and potentially just winning the game. So I would like to see a little bit more of an offensive Starmie, but I get what they were going for in the build. It's not to say that it was a bad set at all. It's just I'm totally leaving that in because I think it's funny. But yeah, it's just with this offensive matchup, I just feel like Starmie could have potentially been a little bit more of a win con. I would have liked to see a little bit more aggressive of an offensive set from it. And then back on Joey's side, I thought he played his sacks perfectly, and he knew exactly what he needed to do to win. Like, it's just Joey being Joey at this point. There's not a whole lot else to say. Also, my doggos are scared of Storm, so if you hear doggos, they're a little bit spooked. And then moving into our last game of the week, we have Iron Boffin, coach of the Rochester Rhydons, against Numb Nexus, coach of the Pittsburgh Pichus. Boffin brought a team of Weavile, Spiritomb, Mega Altaria, which is spelled wrong, I apologize, Jolteon, Blaziken, Metagross, and Nexus brought a team of Mega Medicham, Magmortar, Deblade, Zapdos, Exploud, and Swampert. So I thought the teams brought on both sides made a lot of sense, but this is like one of the games where I've most felt that Nexus' speed tiers really came back to haunt him. He just had nothing that wanted to take a hit from Weavile outside of priority, which I believe Weavile can definitely take a bullet punch from Mega Medicham if EV'd properly, or I believe after rocks it dies if you're just max. But with the HP left over, I'm pretty sure Weavile can actually take the bullet punch from Mega Medicham and just get off big damage that way. So yeah, just I feel like this was the week where another example where it just really showed how bad Nexus' speed tiers are. But getting into the actual game itself, the Toxic Read early on Expelled by Boffin was just Expelled into Zapdos the second time. I thought that was a really big play. With Metagross in, they'd done that cycle once already. It was Zapdos into Metagross, or no, it was Expelled into. It's Exploud versus Metagross into Zapdos. First time Boffin got rocks up. The second time he was able to Toxic the Zapdos, which is always good. Putting Zapdos on a timer. No one likes dealing with Zapdos. That is one of the most annoying mons in League IMO. But yeah, I just thought Boffin also played really well around the Deblade early game with Mega Altaria pivots and just being able to get the right mons in front of that thing and ultimately get rid of it early. There's a mon that give him a little bit of trouble when you look at stuff like Mega Altaria and Metagross being able to do what they want to do freely. I love the Shuko Jolteon to bait Rindo Pert and potentially to a KO. I thought that was a really cool set. Just the double resist berry ended up working out pretty well for Boffin. He was able to live an Earthquake, which allowed him to get off big damage on Mega Medicham later because he was able to take a bullet punch. Because Jolteon is surprisingly good at taking resisted hits, as most mons are, I guess you could say. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool play. But this game honestly came down to the 50-50s at the end. Nexus mentioned it, but he was overthinking early game, and that cost him a couple of potential KOs and momentum. Not flamethrowing the Metagross early with Expelled when he knew it was coming in. And then, not doubling on Spiritomb coming in back into Expelled to, just got off another big hit. Just really Spiritomb, costed him a lot of momentum this game for sure. The first one was the Pursuit 50-50 versus Mega Medicham and Spiritomb. That was a huge play. It could have won or lost either player of the game, where, Boffin wanted to go for foul play, but he couldn't let Nexus stay in, and he went for the Pursuit and wasn't able to kill. Then Nexus got off a huge amount of damage with the Ice Punch. And then the 50-50 right after that, the next turn, Nexus went for Bullet Punch, scouting for the Sucker or the Shadow Sneak or whatever. He couldn't allow, Mega Medicham to go down for free, but unfortunately Bullet Punch was not able to finish off the Spiritomb, and he was Boffin was able to pick it off with the foul play that time. That just really changed things. He had Nexus had to scout for Sucker, and that ultimately ended up costing him. He was not able to have priority in the back for Weavile, and then Weavile was just able to come in and clean up the game. So that's going to do it for our games this week. I do apologize for A, the thunderstorm, B, this being up late first and foremost, And C for me rambling a lot towards the end because I'm not used to talking this much without a partner. But that will all be back to normal next week. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you all in the next week. And as always, hashtag disable ad block. Peace out, guys.